All right, guys, as promised in the last video, if you guys saw that.
Yes, oh yeah, for sure. That's long gone.
We got to fish with the champs. This is the part 2 that was promised, and what it is breaking in the More Than Fishing surf rod. And if you guys want to know why I'm so excited about this, I did another video on surf rod ratings, and this one is definitely in a sweet spot. This one casts from 1/3 ounce all the way up to 2 ounces. So today we get to test that out, see if it's really able to do that. But it is that sweet spot where it can cast both the light lures like the 110s or the Carolina rig. And there's those times where you do have to switch, and sometimes you have to bring 2 rods. But is it possible that this rod does both and does them well? So that's the question we're hoping to answer today. So we'll fish it, and I'll give you guys my initial thoughts of the first time fishing with this. But if you guys are interested in this rod, you can find it at morethanfishing.net. Our friend June made it. And if you guys are new to the channel and are more interested in the rod, definitely make sure you're subscribed so you guys can see future episodes using this rod. Without further ado, we'll throw a reel on this thing and then start making some casts. All right, here we go, guys. Got the Van Staal on there, 30-pound braid to leader. Let's start making some casts. Maybe a couple light casts first or something. But again, this is a 5/8 ounce lure that we're starting with. And again, it can cast up to 2 ounces, so we'll see. Oh, that was not a good first cast. Pretty good distance. So definitely not the rod load like the Cellulose or another salmon rod, like a traditional salmon steelhead rod where it's super parabolic. It's kind of like a medium heavy action on this rod. But at the end of the video, I'll definitely give you guys my full assessment on how this rod performs today. Oh, not used to it yet. It's a lot heavier than I'm used to compared to the Trifecta Light, that's for sure. So whenever you're switching rods, you always have to find the casting style that works the best with the rods. I've been so used to the Phoenix Trifecta Light, and that rod really loads up, and this one not so much. So when I'm casting, I have to rely more on form with this heavier setup. So it's more of a sweeping cast than I usually do with the Trifecta Light. But so far it's pretty comfortable. I'm able to rest the butt right on my hip and be in a comfortable position to reel. There you go. First fish. What? I snagged a surf perch right on the top of the head. All right, guys. This doesn't count. Snagged him right on top of the head. All right, buddy. Well, I mean, at least we know it has hook setting power. These are fresh hooks, but first one, not super proud of it. Sorry, bud. Hope you heal and heal well. But there you go. He wasn't very far. So far I'm getting about, I'd say 20 yards on like a medium cast or so, like nothing too strong. But so far I'm thinking of application, like when would I bring this rod out? And I think the time you're gonna bring a rod like this out where it can do both is a day that you're anticipating it might get windy, or if the bite could be tough. and you'd need to switch to that Carolina rig. So far, I feel as if I know I'm going to be casting the Kalisa or any other 110 jerkbait all day. I might stick to an Okuma Cellulo or one that's made specifically for this presentation. But if I don't know what to expect, let's say I'm traveling to fish and I could experience a bunch of different conditions, this is definitely so far a good choice. Because if conditions switch and it gets windy, I might need to throw the Carolina rig. But back to that fish, I ripped it and it went airborne, and that wasn't a tiny one either. That was probably a 12-incher. So it was definitely a formidable surf perch, and this rod lifted it out of the water like nothing. So it's definitely close to a medium heavy rod. Oh, I got bit again. Real close. All right, since I got bit again, I'm gonna make quite a few more casts with this Kalisa, but I'm gonna stick in this area and tie on a Carolina rig here pretty soon. But I do want to get one fish on this the right way, where it actually eats it, just to experience the fight before I switch. I just got another short strike. There you go, got him. No chance, man. No chance. Oh, got him. Yeah, I don't know if I'll count this one either. Tiny guy. Got him under the lip, so I think he could have gone for it, but that lets me know that there are perch here in this area. I'm gonna keep on casting a little bit more with this Kalisa until I can get like a legit take. But at least I know the perch are here, and then I get to do what I said I was gonna do and try the Carolina rig here. All right, guys, it's gonna be Carolina rig time. I feel as though I've made enough casts to where I'm comfortable with it, and it's becoming predictable what the lure is gonna do when I make the right cast with this thing. Of course, after using a certain rod for a long time and you switch to something brand new, there's gonna be some adjustments that need to be made to optimize your cast. On this More Than Fishing Allen rod, it's definitely a lot stiffer than the Trifecta Light or the Okuma Cellulo or even the Okuma SST. It's definitely more of a medium heavy rod. So a lot of your distance is going to come from basically brute force and not the rod loading up and slingshotting it forward for you. So it's going to take a bit more work than using a Phoenix Trifecta Light or a true salmon steelhead rod. So just something to keep in mind. Actually, June calls it an all-purpose rod. He says this thing will be able to bring in halibut, perch, striped bass. I believe it, that's for sure. So I think that was a pretty good test of this thing in terms of casting the Kalisa. So let's switch. But one thing off the bat that I wish that this More Than Fishing rod had, and you could agree with me or not, is a hook keeper. Something that you could take your lure and just hook it on somewhere, like right here would be nice, or here, somewhere where it won't interfere with the line. But yeah, let's go ahead and tie on a Carolina rig. Quick tip, it's always good to have a tackle box that is sealed, something with a rubber gasket all the way along the top. Just helps, just in case you put it down and maybe a wave comes and it's closed, it won't get wet. All right, first cast with the Carolina rig. Nice and easy. Constant retrieve, get that little bait swimming. I'm sacrificing for you guys. If you guys follow the channel for a while, you know I'm not a Carolina rigger. That's for sure. But it's fun too, for sure. But those who dedicate themselves to the 110, they know what it's like, and they know what I mean. There's nothing like that jerkbait bite. That's so weird. You would think after snagging 2 fish on the 110 that once you throw a Carolina rig, a smaller offering, these fish would be all over it, but not quite the case yet. I am super surprised I'm not getting anything on the Carolina rig, but overall, I mean, I've probably made a good 20-30 casts already with this Carolina rig. You don't really need anything too special to throw a Carolina rig, but so far it seems like this rod can definitely handle it. It's not stressing out one bit. Just as an update too, fishing with the Sanchez boys, bite's pretty tough right now for some reason. Water's clear, conditions are nice, not too much wave strength either. We'll see if this bite starts to turn on here pretty soon. We're about 2 hours from peak high tide. So sometimes it's just a matter of being at the right place, the right time with the tide. Luis was telling me, he was like, yeah, some of my friends asked me what time is the best time to fish. It's really not a time, it's all about the tide. That incoming tide to peak high tide is typically really, really good for surf perch. So initial thoughts on the Alon rod by More Than Fishing. Man, it performed today. I caught a limit of barred surf perch in a very interesting way, and definitely check out the video before this if you haven't checked that out yet. But the day started off, I was throwing the Kalisa, which it's perfectly within the realm. Again, this thing casts from 1/3 ounce all the way to 2 ounces. And the Kalisa is just about ½ ounce, it's 5/8 ounce. And after getting used to it, I was able to cast that thing really, really nicely. I was consistently getting 35, 40 yards out of a cast. It's a lot different than casting with a salmon steelhead rod that has a rating up to 3/4 ounce or a ½ ounce, like the Okuma Cellulo, the 9.6. It's a lot different than that. It's more of like exerting force. This is more, if you're familiar with it, it's more of like a medium heavy rod, which it still can handle that ½ ounce lure weight. But in terms of today, the conditions, that jerkbait bite really shut off, and it was a real grind. And I knew that the fish were there, they were just a little bit deeper. So I threw on that 1½ ounce Carolina rig with the crappie slider and the motor oil color. And man, it was one fish after another. It was incredible. So it definitely did its job. I had it paired with the Van Staal VR50 with 30-pound braid to 30-pound fluorocarbon leader to the swivel, and then the leader. I had about a 5 or 6 foot leader of 6-pound test. I feel like next time, since we were fishing around the rocks, I might up it to 8 or 10-pound test just to give it that still natural presentation, but still not snap off. I think I lost like 10 hooks today, but ultimately back to the rod, it definitely fit the bill for what I was looking for. And here's a scenario where that might turn out, is if you're possibly going to go on a multi-day fishing trip and you can only bring one setup and you want to pack light and only bring one rod, this would be the way to do it, because you don't know if it's going to get windy and you can't throw the jerk bait, the 110s anymore. It's just futile. And you need to throw something heavier like a Carolina rig. It's just that versatility definitely makes this rod worth it. And at 199 bucks, it's really worth having that one setup that can do it. It might not be the best in terms of that small ½ ounce jerkbait to 3/4 ounce jerkbait, but it does open up the possibilities to throwing heavier, throwing those 120 size jerk baits, or even those 2-ounce spoons that a lot of people like to throw, or jig heads. One thing I'm really excited about now, just to kind of end on this, halibut season's coming in the summer and spring. So throwing that 1-ounce torpedo sinker, doing the drop shot is now going to be possible with just one setup, and being able to change from jerk bait 1/2 ounce to 2 ounces and do it on the fly. That's a pretty game changer. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you guys want to get yourself one of these, go to morethanfishing.net. But stay tuned. I'm definitely going to use this more in all the next videos.